Allow plant matter to stay in your bag or put it into a box, and after a while it will dry out without you needing to use a drying rack. You can dry out your flowers so that you can plant them in boxes and grow them as needed. This is a dried tobacco flower. I just drop it here in a small planting box, and after a while it will grow into a full tobacco plant. That jaguar there, that just ran away because of the fire. Here's some tobacco growing in this small box. Harvest a log and you get 4 regular sticks and a plank. Keep hitting a log and you get 2 long sticks and a plank. Harvesting a long stick gets you 2 regular sticks. Harvest a regular stick and you get smaller sticks. Planks have a few uses, but not enough to warrant you saving them. Feel free to throw them onto the fire for fuel. Also, you get charcoal from old fires that have died out. You can, if you wish, put charcoal back into the fire and it acts as fuel. How to make the coconut Bidon. Coconuts are difficult to find, probably because you are searching for them wrong. Stop searching for them near the ground around palm trees because, well, you'll be looking all day. Instead, look up into the trees for hanging coconuts, and then look down and you'll find the one that's fallen. Then, using whatever you can throw, knock down the rest. I used a stone blade, and as you can see there, it falls back to the ground unharmed, so you can collect it again. Break the coconut case with a blade or axe, and then collect the whole coconut, which, by the way, contains clear fluid that you can drink. Once you have drank the drink, craft the coconut Bidon using a whole coconut and a piece of rope. You can now transport water for its various uses. For a scratch or abrasion, you can use a regular bandage that you make from a mollinaria leaf. Add ash that you get from dead fires to a regular bandage, and you can use that bandage on a laceration instead of using ant heads to stop the bleeding. Add tobacco leaf to a regular bandage, and you can use it to treat venomous wounds. You can't rename tobacco plants, so you'll have to remember that they act as antidotes for poisons. Just to show you, I'm poisoned by this long rattly thing, so all you do is you select the tobacco bandage, apply it to the wound, and it will draw out the poison. Add honeycomb to a bandage and you can treat an infection instead of using maggots. You can also use it to bandage a laceration instead of using ant heads. You can also use them to cure a rash, but rashes clear up on their own over time, so there isn't much point. Here I am collecting leaves for bandages and then a lily to add to the bandage. A lily dressing clears up rashes too, but again, rashes clear up on their own, so don't worry too much about it. I use it here on a wound made from picking out a worm. If you find this plant, rename it something suitable. Its flower causes food poisoning, but its leaves cure food poisoning. I name it stomach cure. You get charcoal from dead fires. You can eat charcoal to take away some of your food poisoning. Water lily cures food poisoning too. The game doesn't allow you to eat while you're swimming. This is what they look like in your backpack. You can eat them as they are, or you can put them into a soup if you wish. A bone soup cures food poisoning and fever, with the added benefit of giving you water, fats, and protein too. One of the best and easiest sources of fats is coconuts, which you will often find by accident on your travels. The unknown nuts are a very easy way to get fats. You can grow these nuts if you have a hard time finding them. Though, for at least the early parts of the game, having your fats low is not really a big deal. It does lower your health bar, but not by an amount that's going to damage your overall gameplay experience. Some of the various meats also contain fats, mainly those little forest pig things, the tapirs, capybaras and such. Bananas are probably the easiest to spot out there in the wilderness thanks to their red flower. Mushrooms on logs give you some carbohydrates. Here's some more. These are the ones you will recognize as those that get rid of stomach parasites. You will find these mushrooms on the floor, but you will have to boil them up into a soup before you can eat them. There is also the unknown fruit, which is trickier to spot, and then for some reason I find some bananas right next to it, which was just luck. These tree mushrooms are pretty cool too because they give you energy. Also, when you find them, look around on the floor for Brazil nuts and you may well find one. Also, if you cut this tree down, then there's a raw bulb that you shouldn't eat. However, you can put it into a soup to get carbohydrates, or you can let it spoil and then use it as fertilizer. Hunting is the easiest way to get protein, but you do have to cook the meat. You are going to find dead animals laid around, which you can harvest for their meat. You can eat raw slugs if you wish. They usually hang around wherever there's water. Put meats into soups and you get protein, and sometimes you get fat and energy too. Plus, you get the hydration as well, obviously. Harvest a banana for its seeds and you can grow them for easy carbohydrates. You don't need animal droppings as fertilizer, you can do it with just water. Rainwater will hydrate your planting boxes, and one of the upsides of planting trees is that once you've picked the fruit, then it starts the process of growing a new fruit which will mature within a few days. You find animal droppings on the floor which you can use as fertilizer. You can also farm animals and grab their droppings to use as fertilizer, but just like the fishing part of this game, it's really only done for fun. Planting the unknown nut is a fairly good idea. It too creates a tree, which means that once you pick the nuts off of the floor, you can wait a few days and then more will appear. In the game Green Hell, if you find a mushroom on the floor, then you're going to need to boil it in a soup before you can eat it. If you find a mushroom on a tree or a log, then you can eat it as is. You will find a lot of mushrooms as you explore, and it's good to know that most of them you can just eat. The weapon you put here is for harvesting. This means you cannot select to equip it if you put it here. However, it is always available for you to harvest stuff. You can see your harvesting skill on this screen. The more times you harvest, the better you get at it, which means you can harvest a little faster and you can get more stuff when you do. If you harvest an animal and you have too much weight, consider harvesting the bones for picks or just destroying the stack of bones as is. They are handy for weapons and soups, but they are heavy to carry around if you are very far away from your base. Instead of searching the map for maggots, you can make your own. Here's a bunch of meat that I'm going to leave in my backpack. After a while, the meat goes rotten and it looks like this. Harvest these and you'll get maggots. There's this thing where sometimes it just won't let you bandage. If that's the case, it means it's infected, and that also means that you have to use maggots. A honey bandage or maggots will clear the infected area. If you do use maggots, then afterwards you have to use a regular bandage on the wound. This isn't an old wound I'm bandaging here. This is actually a poison bite that I'm bandaging with a tobacco bandage. If you bandage an injury soon enough, then it shouldn't become infected, and as a result you shouldn't have to use honey bandages or maggots. With wood resin, a stick and a rope, you can make a strong torch. I bring this up because it provides the most possible light at night, and it's something that I didn't know for quite a long time. Archery is tricky because of the waving bow reticle, but there is a trick to it. You put the cursor over your target and you hold the aim button. The target waves around, but it always returns back to its original spot at some point. All you have to do is hold aim and wait for it to return to its original target location. The fun thing about shooting birds is that not only do you get the meat, but you also get feathers, and it only takes 2 feathers and a small stick to make an arrow. What I do here is I craft 6 at one time. You can see the buttons down there to craft more or less of the item. I can craft up to 6, which I do, because it levels up my crafting skill. Plus, I can always use more arrows to shoot and lose in the wilderness, so it's fine. You can also use archery to shoot beehives and get honeycomb. Headshots are the most deadly, especially if you've leveled up your archery. You level up your archery by making kills with your bow and arrow. The more you level up your archery, the less the aiming reticle sways and the more powerful your shots become. Throwing a spear is often more deadly than an arrow, and it's far more stable when aiming, but the range of your spears is pretty poor. A perfect headshot will kill anything. The trouble is that thrown objects don't go very far, so you have to be pretty close up to get the shot. Another element of throwing is spearfishing, which offers up yet another way of getting protein through meat, though do note that the big fish trap still works even without bait. Damage an animal enough and eventually it will die. That is sometimes why a stronger spear is preferred, so that the animal doesn't run as far away before it dies. Try eating burned food. It still offers quite a bit of benefit, as you can see there. The only downside is from the sanity meter. This is a cooked piece of bird meat, so it offers protein, energy, and sanity. The rotten meat only offers protein. The downside to eating spoiled meat seems to heavily outweigh the upside. Eating with dirty hands doesn't guarantee that you're going to get parasites, as you can see. It's just like how drinking unsafe water doesn't guarantee you're going to get parasites. But do try to avoid eating with dirty hands if you can. Spearfishing. Throw a spear and catch a fish. You can also use archery to catch a fish if you want. You can use the spear to catch crabs and catch larger fish. It's pretty handy early in the game before you start hunting bigger animals. It also allows you to hunt these stingray things. If you are ever running through water and you are poisoned, it's because of these things. You can also spear frogs if you so wish. The logic is that the developers have created this whole world that they want you to explore, but they understand that in order to do so, they need to hold you by the hand to a certain extent, and they also need to give you certain quality of life features, such as a log that crosses a ravine that just happens to lead in the right direction, such as a dried riverbed that just happens to look like a footpath, such as a log that's conveniently placed down that wouldn't be there in real life, but just happens to point towards the first tribal village, which is by far the best place to set up your first camp. Firstly, there's resources strewn about the place. There's an air dryer there that you can dry leaves on, create embers. There's a ritual pot here. There's an animal trap down here that you also get the blueprint for. And then obviously there's the hammock here, which you can use so you can sleep without getting worms in your skin. You have the jeep tracks here, which lead to a very significant place that you need to progress the game. And then even here, if you see something such as planks on the floor, well, you can use your computer game logic to follow them to a place of interest. I was going to make a whole list of the types of soups you can make, but it's more fun trying to figure it out for yourself. Take some dirty water, put it into a cooking container, in this case I'm using turtle shells, and allow the water to cook until it's safe. Then you drop something into it and see if it makes a useful soup. For example, blue mushrooms already give you energy, so their soup naturally gives you energy. Though do note that if you use too many energy items, then your character will get insomnia. Though it's really not that bad. All you have to do is sleep for 4 hours and the insomnia thing goes away. Don't worry too much about parasites. You get parasites by eating uncooked meats, drinking dirty or unsafe water, and by eating with dirty hands. I'm throwing some stuff at this crocodile until it dies. Harvesting from larger animals is one of the quickest ways to get dirty hands. I keep testing this, and even with dirty hands, if you drink from a bowl, you don't get parasites. However, here, I eat the cooked meat with dirty hands, and I get parasites. Drink unsafe water if you wish. You will get parasites, but it's the easiest way to hydrate yourself during the beginning of the game. You can wash your hands to get them clean, the rainwater will get them clean, and even swimming will eventually clean you off. Here I eat 1 orange mushroom and it cures 1 parasite. Here I put 1 orange mushroom into each soup bowl, and then because these turtle bowls give you 2 drinks each, by using 2 mushrooms I can cure 4 parasites. You cure parasites with the cup mushroom, the orange mushroom, indigo blue leptona, and guanabana fruit. Stuff does lose durability and despawn if you leave it on the floor. It despawns eventually through the logic of the game world. For example, I will have probably used these sticks before they despawn naturally, because wood takes a long time to decompose. Stuff respawns in all sorts of places, so don't worry about things such as leaving bananas on the trees to save them for later, because you really don't have to. The more you explore, the more you find, and the stuff seems to respawn at random, so don't worry about storing and saving food. I say that respawn rates are random because of this. I went over to this wooden log and I grabbed a single mushroom. I checked my map and I stood over here. Then, even though I was looking at the log, I didn't leave the area. I walked back over and the mushrooms were gone. Use the map to go one way and then go the other. So here I wanted to get to 33 west, 26 south. So after checking the map, I only go south until I get to 26. Then I only go east. Eventually I reach the area. I'm showing you this because I spent a very long time searching around this area for where you're supposed to go to get to the burnt area part of the map. Turns out you're supposed to find this really hidden hill area and then go all the way up. So I show you this location with no shame at all because finding it, for me at least, was no fun. How to find new recipes. A recipe is what this game calls a piece of rudimentary technology. There are quite a few ways to get new recipes. In most cases, it's through discovery. By exploring, your notebook will add new entries and some of them will be new recipes. Another way to add new recipes is by building things. In some cases, you'll build something and then you'll receive a recipe for a related item. You also get new recipes by finding stuff. This is where you go out in the wilderness, you find something, you grab it, and and then its recipes added to your notebook. Doing stuff is another way of getting new recipes. In this case, I'm grabbing a piece of mud. After doing so, it generates a bunch of new recipes for me to try. Then there's the plain old experimenting. I was just randomly putting some stuff together into the crafting table, and it turned into this new recipe. A leaf bed seems useless, but you can make it very quickly in the wilderness, so you can avoid falling asleep in the dirt. You can use some of these structures you build to save your game. You can also use these calendars to save your game. Also, if your backpack is full, it may not be a weight thing. There's an auto sort button here. Give it a go and it will probably free up some space in your backpack. Rocks are most easily found in the river, especially in the early game. You make an axe with a stick, a rope, and 2 stones. On console, L1 or left bumper is the backpack, and down on the D-pad is the map. It's easier, in my opinion, to keep feeding a fire rather than having to rebuild and relight it. Fire scares away predators, but it attracts natives if you're camping in their village. Fire doesn't attract natives unless you are near their tribal areas or their migration routes. Swap materials on structures. I didn't know you could do this, and for the longest time I couldn't build a regular leaf bed. The Aztec weapon is also an axe, so you can use it on trees and such. Getting to your first save point. As my final tip, I'm just going to give you a quick checklist of things you can do and try to aim for during the very beginning of your game. This should get you settled into your first save point. Find the camp. Go over here, grab the map, then just up to the left is a piece of charcoal. You can use that to cancel out food poisoning if you have it. Next, you hunt for stones, and even though you find them strewn about the forest, the best place to look for them is in streams and near water. You'll find these small rocks, and you'll find these big stones that your character is somehow able to tear apart with his bare hands for some reason. Search around the water. Incidentally, there's an obsidian rock just under this waterfall, and this rock will respawn after time, so it's kind of a resource. Find some rope, which you will see hanging from these trees. It's fairly common, and it does respawn on these big trees. Collect some wood, and if this is your first time in the tribal village, then you'll find some strewn about the place just waiting for you. In any order, add some rope, a stick, and 2 stones. This creates a crude axe. I suggest you go cut down a tree so that you have some wood for the fire later. In the tribal village, you will find these leaves already strewn about and waiting for you. Harvest them into smaller leaf piles and then put them on the drying rack. On consoles, using the insert function is quicker. When playing Green Hell, it takes a while to get used to the unintuitive controls, especially if you're playing on consoles. Create the hand drill, which you were shown to do during the tutorial. Next, you build a fire. It is getting pretty dark in my game at this point. Build the fire using the wood that you cut down and harvested earlier. It is now time to sleep in the hammock until your energy has been refilled and until the leaves on the dryer have been dried. Collect the leaves and then build a fire using the drill that you made earlier. Since it's still dark, I created a torch using a stick and a piece of rope. If you have butchered an animal recently, then you should go wash your hands before you eat. Also, the torch stays lit even while you wash yourself. Then try eating something. If a mushroom is growing on a tree or a log, then it's safe to eat. Just to be clear, if you see this symbol down there, then you need to wash your hands. Try drinking from the dirty stream. I overindulged just to show you that, as you can see, I gain 4 parasites. Luckily, nearby there are 4 of these orange cup mushrooms. Each mushroom kills off 1 parasite in my character's stomach. If things are going well, you can create a save camp. Don't forget that these are palm tree leaves on the shelter. These are not banana leaves. You can have a sleep if you want, and obviously this also allows you to save. If your character is close to death, don't try to save. If all is going well, you can build a stand and put a roof over your fire. For the roof, I use a platform. The roof over the fire means that it will stay lit during a rainstorm. The shelter itself will also allow you to save.